Newscum.
News, scum, come. Newscum.
Yes, really nice day.
This is the part of the show where we do the weather.
Yeah, really nice day today.
Really nice day today. So if you're watching this tomorrow, remember how nice yesterday was?
Yeah, really nice day today, right now, where I am. Yeah. Don't know anything else about the weather. Don't give a fuck what it's like where you are today, tomorrow.
Yeah, if you're 2C TV and you're broadcasting from across the globe, then it could be any kind of weather.
I don't know where 2C lives. Not that I care at all. I'm not desperately looking for his house all the time on Google Maps.
He's pleased, isn't he, with the these strikes on Iran? He says that there's loads of people in the streets going to revolt against the Islamic theocracy.
Have you been watching 2C TV?
Only this morning.
I feel like I've won you over. Wow.
Yeah, I know how much you love 2C.
I haven't watched 2C today.
We've got breaking news, he says. I can't remember what it was, but it was to do with, I don't know, like Iranian people are rising up in the streets, apparently. Maybe they'll throw flowers at us when we drop bombs on them.
That's what you're saying, not 2C, presumably.
No, 2C's saying that that there's that the people are rising up to defeat the clerics, because obviously these bomb attacks by Israel will obviously trigger the earnest desire of the Iranian people to throw off the yoke of their dictatorship.
And so presumably, once they've done that, they'll start a sort of westernized democracy, exactly. Free market capitalism. And then presumably they can all emigrate to the UK because we'll all be the same then. There'll be no ideological problems. Is that right? Or am I missing something there?
Yeah, I guess that's right. Then
because I think 2C's issue is obviously he's been able to assimilate very well. Yeah. Almost too well, some might say. But he doesn't feel that most Iranians or most Muslims, or probably just anybody really, can come to the UK. There's an assimilation problem, right?
Right.
And there's also a population problem, but it all gets confused together. You're never really sure which is which. Because obviously, if the UK wanted to be a super world power like China, it needs to like triple, quadruple its population. The more people, the better, right?
Yes. Freedom of movement.
No. They all just have to come here and stay here.
Yeah. Well, all the Iranians
trap everybody here.
Yeah. Yeah, then we'll be a superpower. But we can't do that because there's only 5 months until we're at war with Russia, or 5 years or 20 years or something, according to all the commentators.
Can I just congratulate you, Matt?
What have I done?
Well,
good moustache again? Good shirt? Good prediction?
No, nothing about your physical appearance, unfortunately. Oh. But you predicted that there wouldn't be a war in May.
Yeah. And
the sort of implication being that there would be a war after that. And look, man, you've done great stuff for this podcast.
Wow. Is that your interpretation of it? You said because I said there wouldn't be a war in May, that I was thinking that there would be a war in June. I was fairly hopeful that there wouldn't be a war.
Yeah, I know that's what we were all hoping that, Matt. But it seemed very likely there would be a war, and it was whether it happened in May. Well done. Absolutely. I gave you a lot of stick at the time. But, in a way it was because, I'm one of those, like Tommy Robinson, he's sort of like, he's one of the sort of liberal fathers, You get that impression, like, where, like, he sees Britain as his baby. Right. And, everyone's telling him, Britain has done some bad stuff in the world. And he's like, not my Britain. No, it never did anything bad. So, no, honestly, Tommy, it's done lots of bad stuff. You should really think about having a lot of reforms to Britain, to the way that we think about Britain. No, not my Britain. Because he's a bit of a softy like that, right? Whereas me, people mistake my relationship with Britain as one of hate. But it's not. It's
mutual hate.
It's maybe. No, we have a great relationship, me and my baby Britain, and it's because it respects me, because I'm always, I'm never pleased. I'm always like, you could always do better.
Father.
You could do better, yeah, Britain, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I want to see a better Britain, I guess is what I'm saying. Whereas Tommy Robinson doesn't give a shit, which is sad. He's indulgent.
Like
I can't remember why we began this. It was something to do with your mustache.
No, you complimented me on correctly predicting that there wasn't going to be a war in May, even though that is very much a technicality.
No, but
got right.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was all good stuff. Oh yeah, no, but maybe it was my fathering of you. I'm I'm sort of like a father figure.
You're fathering me.
Yeah, wherever I walk into a room, I just start fathering everyone in the room.
Right. That was You didn't say that. You just started doing it.
I thought that was already understood. But yeah, so when I was sort of berating you and stuff in May, secretly I was hoping you were right, and I kind of knew you would be, because I've got full faith in you, Matt.
Right. Wow.
In a way, I think I was right. It was me that did it.
More right
it was my coaching of you that has got us here with these great predictions.
Oh, well.
Anyway,
yeah.
So
it's the worst, isn't it? It's the pits. Means that the Trump administration, as far as I'm concerned, has just completely wrecked everything. No grounds for any optimism at all on any of the foreign policy stuff.
So you're blaming Trump more than Netanyahu? Like if someone else had been if someone else,
I'm not saying that, but I am saying that because I think that Trump has wanted to have negotiations in these key areas of in these key theatres of conflict, but he's not been able to deliver that in any way for whatever reason. And
but do you think
if he'd done it better and different?
So you think if another president had been president, whatever, then Netanyahu wouldn't have felt he was able to, or wouldn't be in a position to do what he's doing?
Well, no, my view is probably that
your view is probably no one's going to contradict you.
My view is definitely that Israel would have done this anyway, whichever administration had been in. But what I am saying is that I think, due to the unusual nature of the Trump phenomenon, the Trump cult, he was in a position to prevent this kind of thing happening if he had been really committed. But he obviously didn't really give a shit. So, yeah, it's just not good enough, is it, really?
Right, so you think... So in a way, it's kind of like Trump was the only one that could have done something, and he didn't. So it's almost like a backhanded compliment. No one else could have done anything anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if he had just believed in it a bit more. But that idea...
Believed in what?
Believed in negotiation. But
I see.
That idea of that was floated around by great thinkers such as me and Dave Smith.
Yeah, while I was fathering the two of you from behind the scenes.
Yeah, that Trump at least could be an anti-war president. I think that's that myth, that hope has evaporated, has died today.
That hope has died today. It's very grandiose. I like it, Matt. This is a new statesman, Matt. Is this because you're going to be running again?
Not another election for 4 years, is there? Surely.
Would you plan to run?
Might do. Yeah. I guess.
Have you picked a party yet?
Time, really.
Does that matter? Pick one out of the hat.
Make any difference anyway. But yeah, last time it was because George Galloway was, just fielding candidates all over the country, so it seemed like an opportunity. God knows if I'd do it again. I'd probably rather support the Green candidate, really, because he seemed like a nice chap. But we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see indeed.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen now?
So 3:00 in the morning, I happen to still be awake.
Yeah, you sent me a WhatsApp at 3:30 in the morning.
I sent you the Israel strikes Iran WhatsApp message at 3 a.m. So I think
because you knew. I mean, you're so on it that you even knew to stay up to get to start drinking very early in the day and then keep going and then stay up all night because you knew tonight was the night. Well,
I looked at the Jerusalem Post, which said that there might be strikes by Sunday. And I thought, well, that's interesting. That's not very far away. But are they actually going to wait till Sunday? Because obviously the United States and Iran are due to have negotiations on Sunday.
Right.
The negotiations have actually, in some ways, been going quite well. So, Israel is obviously trying to destroy those. And I think what the Americans have tried to impose on Iran is to get them to enrich uranium to whatever it is, but then have it come in from a third country, so that they aren't actually enriching the uranium.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a reasonable thing to suggest. I guess it's not completely unreasonable.
I don't know how you transport enriched uranium, but I imagine it's in glass balls on like a precarious piece of string.
Do you mean like in The Rock again?
Oh, you caught me. You got me. I was pretending I knew something about something. No, there's definitely like
but one way or another, it's not worked out, and the Israelis have just driven a coach and horses through it all.
Well,
anyway.
I don't know, because I was I was just reading what Trump's been saying today.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of good cop, bad cop thing going on.
Yeah.
With Trump. Trump's like, the negotiations, we're still going to have the negotiations, but, I can't control this guy when he gets like this, unless these negotiations go well, Israel could go crazy. Nice. Mm-hmm. There's definitely that thing, which is
stupid shit.
An interesting negotiation tactic, but that's what Trump...
Trump said yesterday something like, obviously, if the Israelis strike, it will completely destroy the negotiations. And then he goes, or it could help the negotiations.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, so I haven't entirely quite dressed this grave yet. I'm still waiting to see if maybe...
Yeah, exactly. I think you're speaking too soon. I think Trump could come back with the greatest deal of all time.
That is needed to get this deal over the line. But it doesn't look likely. I mean, I can't see how the Iranian government can respond sort of positively under those conditions.
Well, haven't they sent some of their slow-moving drones across the Middle East? So that's another sort of like 24 hours that we've got to kind of tune into the drone feed as it crosses the Earth.
Did you ever see Megamind? He had those sort of little drone things that go... Mwah, 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 mwah.
Yeah, I did see a significant portion of Megamind at some point on Sky, but I can't remember the details of it. Were they slow?
Yeah, very slow, and they go... Meh, meh.
But didn't they last time they did this, and then just as they arrived, they sent actual effective rockets?
And then they sent a few rockets after the drones had been there sort of to confuse, sort of thrown up as chaff. But so that's the big question, isn't it? So Iran has said previously, if Israel strikes us, we will consider it a declaration of war by the United States, and we will hit American bases. Now, if they are true to their word, then we're in a regional war. There's a possibility, I think, that Iran might say, well, that was a bit of a threat. We don't mean that, but we are going to retaliate against Israel directly. Stop doing this, else we will do that. I guess that might happen, but it's just also, I don't know, with Ukraine as well, it's just like, because there are such escalations in all of these conflicts by these Western-backed countries, institutions, whatever, it doesn't really give the enemies a great deal of hope that it's all going to be sort of chilled out from our side. You know what I mean? Like with the Ukrainians hitting Russian nuclear bombers, it's not like we're looking like the sort of side that's willing to kind of chill things out a bit. So why would the enemy want to think that it was okay to do that? I think
because they're weak, Matt. Because they respect our power.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean,
they're also crazy and willing to do anything.
So 2CTV, that was his big breaking news, was that Hezbollah has said that they're not going to join the fight against Israel. Now, I don't know if that's accurate or not. I mean, but Hezbollah does seem to be being very quiet since the pager attacks in whatever it was, September, October last year.
I like the fact I was taking the piss out of Tusi the other week for like just getting his news off Twitter. We are now getting our news off Tusi.
Thanks, Tusi.
Yeah.
Loving your work.
If anybody wants to make a podcast based on information they get from this podcast, I would love to watch that. I think it would be great.
It was like when we went through that period for about 3 weeks where we just took all of our news and comedy from Have I Got News for You and took the piss out of it, sort of badly.
Yeah, it was like a very unfunny episode of Have I Got News for You.
Yeah, with no budget,
but from a lofty height. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know where Tusi's getting his news from because I haven't even seen it. I'm getting it sort of fourth-hand from you, but based on this knowledge that I've just learned about Hezbollah, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it depends what Iran does, right? Iran's going to take the lead on this sort of thing, and we'll see what other countries are up to after that. But yeah, I guess the difference is whether Iran just attempts or does hit Israeli targets or actually US bases and whatnot in the area, which would be pretty crazy.
Well, it's what Netanyahu
I guess Netanyahu wants him to hit US bases. Wants him. Whatever.
You'd have thought so, because that seems to be the MO of these. I'm trying to think of a polite word for it, so I just won't say it. But Netanyahu and Zelensky, they'd want to drag the Americans into these wars to make them bigger, because it's the only way that they can achieve their. Well, it's slightly different case, isn't it? In Zelensky's case, I guess he wants to continue he wants to somehow win the war, which is kind of impossible. And in Netanyahu's case, I think he probably just wants to stay out of court.
Yeah, but I mean,
even James O'Brien was saying that.
I know everybody's saying that now. It's so funny, like how that's just totally accepted.
It's accepted now, but that's what all of the people who knew anything about it, like my friend Jonathan Cook and others, that's what they were all saying on day 2.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, well, don't these people realize when they're mainstream commentators, don't they realize that eventually they come to the view that was there by the people on the.
But I mean, there's a tacit. I mean, it's disgusting, right? There's a tacit kind of thing. Piers Morgan is a prime example of this, in which they're like, well, they were entitled to some sort of retribution after October 7th, and it's like, so what you're saying is it was never about getting Hamas. They were allowed a limited window of mass death, and now you think they've gone too far with that.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting, really.
Yeah, very frustrating. Consensus is eventually formed, isn't it? And consensus can ultimately be sane, but it takes a long time. It was annoying
that consensus, well, I guess it's two sides of the same coin. I mean, consensus seems to be formed when James O'Brien and Piers Morgan finally align on it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess it's more the case that they just have the consensus kind of drilled into them. They're not really forming it. It's formed and then they see it. All they can see is consensus, I suppose. And then they have to try and make sense of the fact that they've radically changed their position. But it doesn't really matter because when the consensus is there, the consensus changes, the world's changed. So it doesn't feel like that they've done anything different. Like, people were crazy to think it before, and now it's sane to think it. So they've just stayed sane the whole time.
Yeah, and I think probably there's something about human nature there as well, because obviously...
What are you saying about me? I'm inhumane? I'm inhuman?
No, I'm saying you're an intellectual, Daniel. But I think
no. We'll have to cut that. That's the sort of like over compliment that is kind of basically an insult, right?
I don't know. I wasn't really thinking about it.
Well, I was. God damn it! And I'm very insulted by that.
I just said some.
You thought you could. You thought you could bat me away with some kind of like massive compliments you could get on with your point.
Yeah, but that was it.
How badly has this gone for you, Matt?
Yeah.
Anyway, what was your point?
It's gone so badly, I can't remember what I was going to say. But I do remember vaguely thinking that you're thick and annoying.
There we go. It was something about consensus, and
it feels very natural to want retribution. And I think that's one of the things about the mainstream of things. They're not trying to make things better or see what the best strategy is. It's easy to go along with the idea of like, oh yeah, that feels right to do that because when someone punches me in the face, I punch them in the face.
So Matt, can you, I should have said this at the beginning, can you condemn the attacks of June 13th, please?
June 13th. Is that today?
Yes.
Can I? Which ones? Oh, yes, definitely. Yes.
And do you think Iran has the right to defend itself?
I
Say it.
Yeah.
Say they have the right.
What have I got to do?
You've got to do it. It's got to be on record.
Yeah, it's awkward, isn't it? I don't know. Everyone's got a right to defend themselves.
Oh, that's good.
And I think
that
this
was
is
nice,
one of the things
Matt.
that was annoying about it. The Israel
That was
thing.
sort of Jeremy Corbyn. Yeah, but what about the Jews? You say everybody because you don't want to say that the Jews have a right, or the Muslims.
No, I would say that I think that everyone should have said it from the start, that Israel did have the right to defend itself in October 2023. But how are you going to do that?
Yeah, they didn't defend themselves.
Surely they could have used defensive measures. What they did was a political choice to eradicate a people. That's not. You can't do that every time.
Well, language changes, Matt. And now defending yourself means genocide. So that gives quite a broad range of options for Iran. They can say it's all self-defense. Because Keir Starmer has said, now is the time for restraint, calm, and a return to democracy. Yeah, diplomacy.
Any minute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't.
Hang on, let me just send these weapons over.
Exactly. Israel's timing was impeccable because Starmer was going to say that today. Whatever. It's just coincidence that Israel managed to sneak in a massive attack beforehand. But Starmer isn't saying that Iran's got the right to defend themselves. I don't know why. I don't understand what it could be.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, because you can always get into endless discussions about the rights and wrongs of how much you can defend yourself. But at the end of the day, if you pack a pub full of very aggressive, tooled up lunatics, then you're gonna have a fight one way or another. And who gives a shit how it started exactly?
No, all I'm saying is
you just don't want to have an international system that is like that. You have to.
All I'm saying is that Starmer could have said that on October the 8th.
He could have said restraint. Yeah. I mean, even the Americans actually, some of the top people said within a few days of October the 7th, they said, don't go like what we did with in the wake of 9/11.
Yeah,
I can't remember who it was now, but there were some senior government people who were just sort of like gently going, no.
Yeah. But you never know. It could be anti-Semitism. It could be because anti-Semitism is often unconscious. So that's another issue that you have. Yeah. Anyway, have you heard? So I mean, I've heard some rumors. I can't say if this is true or not. But some of the drones that Israel used were quite interesting. So one of them's called a scythe drone. Have you heard about this?
Oh no, I haven't heard that. What's that?
So it's got on the front of it. It's got this big scythe-like blade.
Right.
And it chops off babies' heads.
Oh my god!
Now, as I've said, this is unconfirmed, so it would be irresponsible just to completely take that as rote. You've got to always question these things. It does sound a bit preposterous.
I'll take it with a pinch of salt.
Exactly, you should do that. It would be. I mean, imagine just believing that straight off the bat. What a crazy thing to do. Because the other one I heard was called the rape drone. And that goes directly into women's vages and just starts sort of annoyingly sort of thrusting itself at them. Not very effective weapon, but a bit humiliating, I think. Again, though, these are speculation. I haven't unconfirmed reports. It would be imagine if you were any sort of leader of a country or an important journalist to just hear something like that and just say, well, that must be what happened without any evidence whatsoever. So as I say, heavily caveated. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I wouldn't commit to those rumors, but I guess it sounds plausible.
It's plausible, of course. Anything can happen in war,
Yeah.
Especially those rape drones. That's definitely where we're going. I think I could imagine Elon Musk inventing something like that.
Probably uses one around the house.
So anyway, Matt, if you want to, here's my wager for you. If you can continue this Iran chat for, however long we've got left, then you're rewarded in avoiding a chat about the EU.
Oh, God, we've put off that EU discussion for what is it now, 2-3 weeks?
Something like that, yeah. But I feel like this is a really good opportunity to put it off again. But it's really on you. Because I'm really not got much to say about Iran, to be honest with you.
I reckon we're done with Iran because we need to. I think we really need to see what transpires from this. All of the headlines are saying all-out war, aren't they? They're saying that there's not going to be. These aren't just going to be the pinpricky type strikes or symbolic strikes of last year. And Netanyahu is talking about a couple of week-long campaign. So it'd be very hard for Iran to not, to be restrained within that, I think. So this really could be it. This really could be the regional war that certainly I've feared for since 9/11, or indeed even before that. And yeah, it's come a little bit later than I thought, and maybe we'll still avoid it. But
no, you said it. You said it wouldn't happen to me. It's come exactly when you said it would happen.
Thanks, Daniel.
Stop putting yourself down, Matt.
No, but I don't care too much about my exact prediction.
That's all I care about.
There not being this massive war. I'd really like.
This is the thing. You're not focused enough on the podcast like me.
Oh right.
I only care about how things affect this podcast.
Yeah.
And
you can get stuff. It's all right to get stuff wrong.
Oh, it's fine to get stuff wrong. As long as you admit it.
Yeah.
But obviously, up until now, we've not got anything wrong. So
no.
just how it is.
Yeah.
But what do you think? You say regional war. What does that mean? Midterm, long term?
Well, I think the question is, will American bases be destroyed? And if there are American casualties, then I guess it could ultimately lead to the destruction of Tehran, for example.
Yes. Do you think that the US will? The US will probably strike Iran if there are US military casualties. But do you think there will be very sort of strategic, quite kind of showy attacks rather than
something
blowy?
I've definitely learned over 25 years of paranoia is that in international relations is that I think it's very easy to think, oh my God, this is suddenly all going to fall apart very, very suddenly. And of course, at some point it really could. Very dramatic, sudden things could happen, but there could still be quite a few incremental stages where it's a little bit tit for tatty. But that's why I say I think it's quite difficult for it to be tit for tatty, in the same way as it was about eight or 9 months ago when there were Iran and Israel strikes, because they were only done piecemeal. But this campaign by the Israelis is going to go on for a week or two, so.
Well, we don't know that. That's what they're saying, right? And this is where it's like the dramatic negotiation comes in. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen today? Never mind tomorrow. In terms of like Trump's like, look, we're going to bring the negotiations forward. I can't control Israel. They're crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you that something unpredictable could happen with negotiations, and I still keep my fingers crossed for that. I've not seen that speculated about in the news over the last 24 hours. No one's talking about negotiations, but I agree that they could do something weird could happen that is good. Who knows? But yeah, I think one of the things that's so bonkers about it, like I saw a couple of friends earlier today and they didn't know even that there'd been this attack. I think, speaking from Britain, it seems so insane that Iran, which is under a more moderate leadership at the moment, that is a modernized nation, it just seems bizarre that they would suddenly get in this massive war with Israel, which is already at war with another polity. So it's sort of, I think it probably hasn't dawned on society as a whole yet just how bonkers this situation is.
So how can we make money off this? Because we've got knowledge. Can we do something? Can we do some trades?
Arab cola the other day?
Can we buy? Oh yeah, I bought
Was it you who bought
Gaza cola?
Gaza cola.
Do you want me to? I can go get it. It'll take me. You'll have to keep the podcast going on your own for about 40, 50 seconds. Do you want to do that?
Sure.
All right. Oh, take my earphones off.
Now we see Daniel leave the podcast to go out of his door in his very shabby looking little office there and walk up the stairs a short distance to get a can of Gaza cola. This is how he is making the world a better place by drinking sugary drinks created by... Who created that? Coca-Cola.
What do you think about that?
Now welcome Daniel back from outside the room.
What happened there?
Back onto the bays.
Can't wait to listen back to this episode for that 40 seconds.
It's Daniel Taylor to break.
So what do you think? Coca-Cola? I think it looks pretty cool.
It looks nice, but is it as nice as Coca-Cola? Because Coca-Cola does something weird with the fizziness that makes it cool.
It's not bad. I do think Coca-Cola is the best. Pepsi's not great. Virgin Cola, do you remember that back in the 90s? That was pretty good.
Yeah.
This is pretty good. As cola drinks go, not a bad drink. But the Palestinian flag is such a good... we were going to do flags. I'm desperately trying to avoid this EU topic. Why
are you scared of the EU?
I'm not... what sort of framing is that?
Is it all the immigrants, Daniel?
No, there's a new kind of united Europe forming up in which everybody loves each other, but they just have to all stay in the same places. They were all united against the immigrants from outside the EU. That seems like the most sort of... like the biggest kind of bond of Europe is all the far right parties agreeing that their individual countries are being invaded by whatever they're being invaded by, Muslims, I guess. That seems much more sort of stable kind of coalition than the actual EU at this point.
Yeah, so Europe's coming together through a sea of anti-immigrant hate.
Yes. And everybody staying in their lane.
Okay. Except for the French, of course, because they drive on the right-hand side of the road.
Well, they all do except us.
Yeah, but it's not our fault, Daniel.
No, they're wrong, obviously.
Right, next topic.
EU. Should we do it? Should we do the big...
What is the actual topic, though? I know the topic is EU,
yeah.
but now here's the next stage. What about
the EU? Oh, yes. Well, actually, let's start with Starmer.
Okay.
And what that should lead us into it nicely. So I want to talk about this last time. Well, as we know, we want to talk about this for a long time. The EU. The EU.
We certainly haven't.
But what did we talk about last time? The pension heating thingy, maringy. Right, yeah. So there was there was a U-turn on the
winter fuel bill.
Winter fuel allowance.
Yes, and now they're giving the winter fuel allowance to pretty much everyone from before.
They?
Oh, is that right? I don't know. I haven't really thought about winter very much. It's fucking summer.
Well, don't make these sweeping claims. Don't make these sweeping claims, then, Matt.
Okay,
this is integrity in this podcast, Matt.
Yeah.
You've got to think before you speak. So they haven't said. Well, as far as I know, I haven't been watching 2C today, so I've got no idea what's going on in the world.
Got your news.
But I think they haven't said exactly what the threshold's going to be. It's certainly not going to be universal. Not going to be what it once was. Except in Scotland, of course, as we spoke about last time. But that whole thing, right? So Starmer said when they came in last year, big black hole in the budget and the finances. We're going to have to do, even though it was this huge black hole, we're going to do these like tiny petty things, like take away the winter fuel allowance, which is just like a really small amount of money. Anyway, the reason they gave was that they couldn't afford it. And there was absolutely no pushback in the media to say that's absolute bullshit. What are you talking about? To the point that even great political thinkers like Jonathan Pye, he believed it. And I think, fine, okay, you live and learn, but do you? Because now we've come round and the economy, nothing's happened with the economy. It's still as shit as ever. But because there's been a lot of pressure, and the Labour Party is unpopular for all sorts of reasons, they're desperately looking for something that they can do that will give them some kind of popularity. They've U-turned on this. And so now it's like, well, what the fuck happened then in 2024? Like, there's no kind of scandal about first, the government just flat out lied about it. They could afford it, apparently, you know. And then secondly, the media didn't seem to know that that was the case. They didn't look into it at all. And none of that is sort of, that's just like, well, you know, that's just politics, isn't it? You know, it's like, no, that is the absolute fundamental problem with this country, is that you have a kind of an economic understanding where if you cut something, that is unquestionably fine. You're saving money. We need to save money. All of these things are never critiqued, and it builds up to an entire understanding of how the economy works and how the government functions and what it's capable of doing. All of that, and then you have things like, oh well, we are going to do some more military spending, and so well, you know, we have to do that, you know, and it's the same. I mean, it's just like COVID. Like in 2019, we had no money, we couldn't do anything. In 2020, we spent all the money. Well, we had to spend it because of COVID. After COVID, well, we can't. We spent all that money during COVID, so we can't. Yes, but you realize that you are making the decision to spend, when to spend and not spend. It isn't like this force of nature. You are making these decisions. At least accept that that is the case. And then we can talk about, well, why? What is the political reason for you deciding to do this rather than this? Instead of presenting, well, we have to do this and we have to do this and there's nothing we can do. And that's the conversation that you just don't get in the media. And I think I just bring that up because and that's the reason I think that the winter fuel allowance was so hated, is that it was a focal point for this much bigger, more complex argument that I'm trying to make. And this is why I didn't want to talk about the EU, because I knew it was going to be difficult for me to articulate what I wanted to say. I'd rather just talk about Tussi's, you know, luscious eyebrows, but you know, I knew we'd have to get there one day, and so this is it. I'm trying to give you my take on the EU. So there's this very, very complex thing that's going on in our understanding about the limitations of government and what it can do, and we're all kind of trapped in that. And it's very hard to argue against it because it's very hard to get any information. It's very hard to arm yourself with counterfactuals that will help this, because the media don't do it. Nobody does it, right? You have to read books, Matt. And it's a long time since I've been able to actually focus on a book. So I've been struggling to get through Silence of the Lambs for a year.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the other problem. Social media. No one can read books. Anyway, we're getting off topic, right? So the thing is,
I've got reading books.
You've got reading books. That you're the only hope, Matt. You and your great predictions. Did that come out of all your book learning? Is that how you knew?
No, I'm only reading a cowboy and Indian book called the Rory Cormac one.
Is it about cowboys and Native Americans, Matt, or is it about cowboys and Indians? Because that's a crazy idea that there would be cowboys in the South Asian peninsula. I don't know what's going on there. You're
right. Continue with your other point.
Yeah, I thought that might be funnier to get into, but it wasn't.
Sorry,
it wasn't funny.
I derailed your point.
What are we talking about? EU. Yeah, so...
Yeah.
People are unhappy with the general state of things, and it's very difficult to articulate that. It's very difficult to form any consensus around what the issues are. So you get these like focal points, like the cutting of the winter fuel allowance, which was bad, but in the grand scheme of things, the reason there was so much hatred towards it and that they actually U-turned on it is because they've done absolutely nothing else to address the issues in this country. Anyway, so why am I bringing all this up? Because I think it relates very much to Brexit and the EU, and similarly with Starmer. So if we take Starmer coming in 2024, right? The narrative that's being built before the election is this one of Tory chaos, right? You've got a continually changing of the PM. Yeah. You've got incompetence, corruption, particularly to do with COVID contracts and stuff like that, but also Boris Johnson and people, you know, working, lobbying for private, all this kind of stuff, right? There is absolutely no political critique of the Conservative Party going into that election. It is entirely about the leadership of the Tory Party and Tories MPs in general not being fit for the job. And you hear this a lot. This is the same sort of thing with Trump. and Boris Johnson, like not being fit to be prime minister, rather than you disagreeing with their political take or even having a critique of what that might be. So Starmer comes in, his messages change, and the change seems to be really a kind of Tory leadership election in which Labour, for the first time, they're allowing a Labour person to be in that leadership election. His name is Keir Starmer, and he wins it.
You can't have a slogan that says "same."
No, it should be slightly more choice than before. Yeah. But the whole thing is that Starmer comes in on this idea of change, and obviously rhetorically, it's a revolutionary change, which is finally we're having a Labour government back after all these years of Tory party. It's going to be huge change, but really, if you look at the sort of detail of it, and the sort of specifics of even what Starmer's kind of claiming, it's the Tories are incompetent. Tories are this and that. I've ran a big government department before. I'm a serious man, all of that kind of stuff. And so then he gets in, and now he is supposedly. What would happen is that with the same policies, the same sort of political ideology as the Tories, Starmer would make it work because of his great boss-like ways. He'd boss it around, right? And you even saw this in the kind of Starmerite support, right? There's always a kind of blurring between, on the one hand, like Labour being able to do things that Tories can't do, like wanting to do nice things because, Tories are horrible people, and something vague about the interests that they serve. But Labour, Labour are good people, and they'll do the right things, and they serve a different interest. Never any sort of evidence on what that might be. But at the same time, mostly just falling back on the idea of Starmer is not incompetent. Starmer is efficient. Starmer is a clever man. He's, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so when Starmer gets in, right, it's the same kind of policies. He's got a few small ideas that he's trying to put in to actually change the system, but all within the confines of basically what the Tory party was doing. And you've had several Tory prime ministers that have all tried slightly different approaches to basically getting growth through cutting taxes and cutting programs, state spending, and trying to encourage investment in various ways. Starmer does exactly the same thing. And okay, he's got a few things. He's got like some new idea on housing policy. He's got another idea on migration. Instead of Rwanda, it's going to be Albania or something. It's like little things like that. And he has got quite a good one on migration. I don't know what's happened to this, which was a 1-to-1 kind of swap with France. So when an illegal migrant gets in, France will take it back if France can give a legal migrant to the UK.
Is that right?
Yeah, but it's good, right? Because on the one hand, at first you think, well,
take them back.
What did I say?
Like, take it back.
Take it back. Well,
this immigrant, take it back.
Why can't I say that, Matt? What?
I don't know.
Are you some sort of wokey, woke liberal?
Did go a little bit like that, didn't I?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
call an immigrant in it.
Why not? I don't know its genders anyway. Maybe I'm the woke one.
Yeah.
Well, it might not like them, or I'm losing
I
this
tell you
argument.
what, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
I was wrong.
Matt apologized, so he must be wrong. That's how, like Joe Brand. Not Joe Brand. Who am I thinking of? Dawn French.
Oh, Christ, yeah. Oh,
Dawn French apologized, so she's obviously an anti-Semite. Who would have known it? Unbelievable. Anyway, what was I talking about? I'm going to have to now call all migrants it. Because I've dug this hole now, and I have
to be consistent.
So yes, it's you. They give well, you can't do it. You can't say one of it. What's the English? How do you say that? We give one of it back, and it gives one. Anyway, it's one. It's a 1-for-1 swap, right? And the idea being that, obviously, in the short term, it doesn't really change the amount of people coming to this country. But in the long term, it dissuades people from attempting to make the journey in the first place because they're immediately going to be sent back.
Yeah,
it's not a bad plan. I don't know what's happened to that. Maybe it's been given. It was too good of a plan. It was actually going to work.
Yeah, the Ministry of Bad Plans intervened.
Anyway, so yeah, he had a few ideas like that, but basically, it's surprise, surprise, it's not working, and surprise, surprise, it looks like Keir Starmer's not going to last. You know, all this talk about, you know, Tory incompetence, they can't even have a prime minister for a full term. You know, it seems increasingly likely neither can Labour, because the issues are obviously
You think Starmer's going to go? Like before
well, Starmer, he's always hanging on by the skin of his teeth. Like it looked like he was going to go whenever was it Batley and Spen by-election in sort of 2020, sometime between 2020 and now, there was an election, and I can't remember what year it was. That looked like he was really going to go. Apparently, Angela Rayner was going to launch, sort of publicly go against him and rally some kind of leadership sort of push. I think the thing to look out for, right? So Keir Starmer changed the rules, I think 2023, at Labour conference on how you elect a leader. So obviously the way that Starmer got in was through the same rules as Corbyn. But in the context of Corbyn having just lost the 2019 election, and Starmer also really sort of pivoting rhetorically and stuff to the left, right? If there was another leadership election under those rules, even after all the people being chucked out, I think that the membership would still go for some kind of left-wing candidate that would be too left-wing for the people who are running the party at the moment. Now, they did change the rules in 2023. Starmer wanted to cut the membership out. They wanted to go to what's it called? College system?
Electoral college?
Electoral college. Yeah. They weren't able to pass that. But he was able to get through something which has raised the amount of MPs that you need to back you.
Yeah.
So they can
that's how Corbyn got in through the skin of his teeth, because he only just got the...
Yeah, well, he wouldn't have even got in if people actually voted for him because they genuinely wanted him to when they thought, you know. So, like, it was already too high. It was already very much controlled by the MPs. But now they're sort of gate posting it even more. To the point where you're probably not going to have... I think when Corbyn ran, there was initially 5. There was maybe like 7 when Starmer first ran. I can't remember. There was quite a lot of people running. I think you're probably only going to see 2 or 3 if there is another election.
So is it fair to say that you think that Starmer will, for whatever reason, popularity will probably have to go over the next year? And is it fair to say that Angela Rayner is more to the left of Starmer, and that she might come in and might do a better job? Well,
this is the thing, because if Starmer
her being leader,
if Starmer goes, there'll have to be a leadership election, and that's probably the only thing keeping him on now. Is the fear that they can't just replace him with West Streeting, which is what they would want to do, right? They would have to put West Streeting in a lengthy, well, try and make it short as they can, leadership election. It would be very... that's the thing. I don't think there's enough discipline now in the Labour benches to stop Angela Rayner running, even with the high threshold of MPs that you need to back. I think people are really, really upset with Starmer, and they've been treated like shit by him. And the party is really in crisis financially, and obviously as a government, it's not doing very well. So I think in that respect, the only thing keeping Starmer on is that they can't replace him with who they want. They can't control the leadership. One thing to look out for would be at this any sort of future moment, probably conference, really, really attempting to change the rules again on leadership before they chuck Starmer out. So Starmer's final act will be ensuring his own downfall by getting through, which he will do, because that's what he does. He follows orders. The other thing, but in terms of Rayner, I think she's got a good chance. If she can run, if she can get enough MPs to back, I think she probably would win. You know, you don't know what would happen during the actual election. All the stuff coming out about her sleeping with that guy from Ilford, not West Streeting, the other guy from Ilford. I can't remember his name now. He was chucked out by Starmer. There's so many people that have been chucked out by Keir Starmer that could sort of come back to haunt him if he was
I'm sure you're allowed to sleep with people in Ilford.
No, well, it's like in terms of polling, it doesn't do well.
Yeah, really ruins your polling. If you...
Yeah, but people are like,
There's a
that's
joke
weird.
in there
That's a
somewhere,
bit
but-
weird. I can't relate to that. Anyway, so getting back to, we might come back to this because I did want to talk, if we have a chance, about things that are happening on the left. But maybe, I don't know, how are we doing for time?
We have been on air for all you truckers out there for 59 minutes.
Brilliant. We don't have to do the EU. So good. Woo! Thank you, Iran. I mean, Israel. Everybody. It was a collective effort. Oh,
And
yeah.
you all have the right to defend yourself.
Before we go, I do want to say something about this being a podcast.
Yes,
at the moment, it is a podcast. I mean, we are putting them on YouTube as videos, but you know, if you don't want to watch me like shuffling in my chair like I've got hemorrhoids, which is for some reason, or Dr. Robotnik over there eating a plum like he's in a David Cronenberg movie, then you can just listen to this as a podcast. It's on Apple and Google and what are the other ones? Spotify.
www.
It's on www.password.podcast.